Hi everyone, Susan Rever here from healthfullifestyle.com and theorganictarian.com. So today I want to talk to you about gluten and autoimmune disease, signs of a leaky gut, and how to heal leaky gut syndrome. So some of the topics I'm going to cover are, of course, a bit about my story and my health issues related to, of course, gluten and autoimmune disease and leaky gut. What is gluten and what is an autoimmune disease? How many autoimmune diseases are there and how many, of course, are linked to leaky gut syndrome? Signs of a leaky gut, and of course, there's actually a quiz that you can take to see if you are at risk. What happens when you eat gluten and how it's actually linked to leaky gut syndrome, how it's connected to autoimmune disease, some tests you can take to find out if you might have a leaky gut, and how to heal leaky gut syndrome. So, has Hippocrates said, of course, thousands of years ago, all disease begins in the gut. And there actually is now over 11,000 studies published on leaky gut syndrome. So a lot of studies out there. I never actually considered eating gluten-free. Never thought I would. Never really paid much attention to, gluten in food until my mom became celiac, and she became celiac about over 15 years ago. And of course, I never really realized the connection between gluten and autoimmune disease. I just assumed it was just people who were celiac that shouldn't have gluten. And of course, back then, when my mom was first diagnosed, there weren't any gluten-free sections in supermarkets. There wasn't really a simple blood test that you could take to find out if you were celiac. But in 2010, I did develop 3 autoimmune endocrine disorders. So hyperthyroidism, Graves' disease, and endometriosis. And developing them all in the same year was kind of a bit of a shock. And I ate fairly healthy, so I honestly didn't know what I was doing wrong. I required laparoscopic surgery, which I had to have in early 2011. And I really wanted to know what I could possibly do to actually reverse my conditions and get my health back. Of course, like most doctors, right, they weren't very helpful. They were giving you, they always give you suggestions how to manage your conditions, to live with them but not reverse them. So I decided to conduct my own research. That's what I am. I'm a scientist. And I realized that some of the foods I was eating were hormone mimickers and endocrine disruptors, such as soy. And sadly, at that time, I used to have a protein shake every morning made with soy protein powder and soy milk, which I don't use anymore. And I also found out that certain ingredients in my personal care products also contained hormone mimickers and endocrine disruptors. So I replaced those with healthy alternatives. I even took it one step further and I removed gluten from my diet, and I also cut down on my dairy intake. So I started to drink almond or coconut milk. I purchased organic cheese made with raw milk, free-range eggs, organic grass-fed beef or meat, a wild-caught fish, organic fruits and vegetables, and then I supplemented my diet with an organic vegan pea protein. And I'm happy to announce that it's been over 2 years now that I've actually reversed my conditions. So I no longer have Graves' disease. I no longer have to take my thyroid medication, and my endometriosis has never come back. But it wasn't really until last year, after continuing my research, that I really finally understood the connection between gluten and autoimmune disease. And so this sort of has now become a passion of mine. Besides my mom being celiac, she's also hypothyroid. And of course, I had hyperthyroidism and Graves' disease. My one aunt had Hashimoto's disease. A couple of my other aunts are borderline hypothyroid. And of course, also type 1 diabetes runs in our family, which is also an autoimmune disease. So this is a very sort of personal issue. So what is gluten? Well, it is a mixture of proteins, and of course, they're naturally found in certain grains. And the word gluten actually means glue in Latin. But there's a few issues if you look at our modern day gluten compared to gluten that, say, our grandparents or ancestors ate. First, it can now be found everywhere, right? It's not just used for making breads or pasta. Filler as medications. It can hold meat substitutes together. Found in personal care products. I mean, you can find it in soy sauce and like even fruit juices and, salad dressings. I mean, it's amazing where you can find it. So we're exposed to it a lot more than we ever used to be. And of course, second, scientists have actually changed wheat, and these new hybrid strains are very different from gluten that was found in the original plants. And because this new modified gluten tends to cause problems with gut health and immune system. And there's now a lot of research being done on the connection between gluten and autoimmune disease. So what it actually is an autoimmune disease? Well, if you go back to, again, biology, high school biology, you know what your immune system is designed for. It's designed, right? It's your protection, your defense system, right? So it defends your body against disease. So an autoimmune disease develops when your immune system, it actually attacks your own body tissue. And it can affect many different parts of your body. And there's actually roughly 80 types of autoimmune diseases. This is surprising because when I talk about autoimmune diseases with people, a lot of people are actually not even aware, like type 1 diabetes is actually an autoimmune disease. And it is possible to have more than one at the same time. I mean, obviously, the fact that I developed 3 disorders in 1 year, this just didn't happen overnight. My body, it probably took years for it to happen. And so it's just not going to, when I reverse my conditions, it didn't happen overnight either. It took years to, be able to reverse them. But the most common autoimmune diseases are rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, celiac disease, psoriasis, inflammatory bowel diseases, vitiligo, and that's where you get actually white patches on the skin, which is caused by a loss of pigment, Hashimoto's disease, Graves' disease, and type 1 diabetes. Now, how many of these autoimmune diseases are actually linked to leaky gut syndrome? Well, leaky gut syndrome is almost always associated with autoimmune disease. In fact, reversing symptoms of autoimmune disease depends on healing the lining of your gastrointestinal tract, or your GI tract. So how do you know if maybe you have leaky gut syndrome? Well, there are certain signs. If you go to my website that this video is linked to, so I have a blog posted about this subject. I posted a quiz that you can take to find out if you're at risk of maybe having a leaky gut and find out more. So again, visit healthfullifestyle.com, and I'll actually post a link to the blog below this video so that you can click on it and take the quiz. And what happens when you actually eat gluten, and how is this actually linked to leaky gut syndrome? Well, there's a lot of research actually been done by Dr. Alessio Fasano, who has now shown that when you eat gluten, it arrives in your small intestine and it triggers the release of zonulin. And this was never known before. Now, zonulin is a chemical that actually signals the tight junctions of your intestinal wall to open up, creating intestinal permeability or leaky gut. So your gut was really only designed to allow small micronutrients to pass through and not large proteins or toxins or partially digested food particles. So if you think of your gut lining as a net with extremely small holes, zonulin basically makes large holes in the net, allowing the large proteins, toxins, and undigested or partially digested food particles to pass through, escaping into your bloodstream. Now, again, remember what I said before, your immune system is designed to protect your body from foreign invaders. What happens is it marks those toxins and large proteins as dangerous, since they're not supposed to be in your bloodstream. And this leads to the creation of antibodies. Every time your immune system attacks an invader, it memorizes the structure so it can recognize it in the future. The molecular structure of gluten is very structurally similar to a number of your body tissues, particularly your thyroid. This is referred to as molecular mimicry. And there are also several food proteins that have a similar structure to gluten, such as casein and dairy. I've also posted a couple of videos for you to watch about leaky gut and autoimmune disease. And again, if you click the link below, you can watch them on my blog post. So now, how is all of this connected to autoimmune disease? Well, if you currently have an autoimmune disease, this means that somewhere along the way, your immune system started to attack your own body tissue, causing inflammation. So what happens is every time you eat gluten, because of your leaky gut, which is allowing, again, these toxins and large proteins and partially undigested food to pass through into your bloodstream, causing inflammation, you start to develop chronic inflammation. And this can lead to nutrient malabsorption and food intolerances or sensitivities. Now, your immune system continues to protect your body from foreign invaders, but once your immune system becomes stressed, it's less able to attack pathogens and disease with precision. So your own body's tissues end up receiving the attack, leading to, of course, an autoimmune disease. Now, the only way that you can stop your immune system from attacking you is to remove gluten entirely from your diet. Now, there are several tests that you can actually take to determine if you actually have a leaky gut. So you can take the quiz to find out if you're at risk. And if you want to be more certain, you can take these tests. One of them is referred to as a zonulin or lactulose test. And I posted a link where you can find out more information, again, on my blog post. So don't forget to check it out at healthfullifestyle.com. You can also take what's called a IG food intolerance test or allergy test. And you can do this with or without candida testing. And again, posted a link on my blog post. Stool tests are another one that you can test. These are important because they'll actually look at things like your beneficial bacteria levels, the state of intestinal immune function, your overall intestinal health, and inflammation markers. And you can also be tested for a test called an organic acid, vitamin, and mineral deficiency test. And this organic test actually looks for vitamins and mineral deficiencies, amino acid, protein deficiencies, and antioxidant and bacteria levels. And what's great about the stool test, and of course this organic test, is they can be done at home. Of course, stool tests, you can just send it back, your samples, to a lab. And I've posted, again, links on my blog post at healthfullifestyle.com for you guys to check out more about these tests. So how is it possible to actually heal leaky gut syndrome? Well, the number one factor is you have to remove, of course, foods and things that are damaging your gut. So things like refined sugar, gluten, conventional dairy, conventional meat, because remember, a lot of meat has hormones and antibiotics and things that have been put in them that, of course, mimic your hormones and endocrine system. GMO foods, pesticides, of course, painkillers, antibiotics, and tap water. You want to replace, those foods and factors with, of course, healing foods. So things like bone broth and kefir, fermented vegetables, coconut products, and sprouted seeds. You want to repair, of course, your gut with specific supplements such as digestive enzymes, probiotics, L-glutamine, licorice root. And of course, you want to rebalance your gut with probiotics. And I also, of course, again, posted another video on my blog that you can watch out that talks about, again, a little bit more detail how to heal leaky gut syndrome. So don't forget to check that out. And I want to, of course, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys found value in this video. And don't forget to connect with me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's very much appreciated. And again, of course, don't forget to visit my website at healthfullifestyle.com. You can sign up for my newsletter and make sure you comment below. Would love to hear from you, and check out the blog post related to this video. Again, I'm going to post that information below. And until next time, cheers.